Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's Rabbi Stephen here with this week's 10-Minute Torah, Rav Shmuel ben Yehoshua, Rashbi in the house. So by this point, many of you have heard the news that I'm going to be starting as the rabbi of Temple Shalom in Ontario, California. And this is certainly not goodbye. I'm going to be close by. And I still will be there for those of you that would like to make use of my services, and we'll find some ways when the pandemic starts to abate more and public gatherings start to open up. But in the meantime, there'll be services online, and I'll talk to them about opening up to some of you that have, been part of our little congregation, our little group over the last year. And I'm very excited to start this. Like I said, I'm not going to be that far, and my first service will be July 24th and July 25th. The first weekend of August, we'll be going away for the weekend, celebrating some birthdays, and I'll be back in August to start in earnest. So, I want to thank everybody that has been with us, that's been part of our group. It's been a great journey, and again, it has not ended. It's just another step in evolution. So, and I'm going to be continuing doing these 10-minute Torahs, as I call them. We'll be doing sermons online. And, stay tuned. All right, so this week's portion, it's again a double portion, Mottot-Masei, and it closes the book of Numbers. And it basically closes out most, not all. There's still a few commandments left that we're going to get. And by the way, the word mitzvah. When you're doing a mitzvah, you're doing a commandment, not necessarily a good deed. All right, just want to emphasize that. It's an issue that was brought out. And by the way, before I forget, I'd like to introduce you to something. I started rereading this book again. It's called Jewish Literacy by Rabbi Joseph Tulushkin. It's a really good book, especially for those that are looking to go through conversion or learn more about Judaism. It's a history that goes right from Genesis all the way up almost to the modern era. It's very readable. It goes quick. Check it out. All right, so this week's portion, Mottot-Masei, and it closes out again the book of Numbers, and it starts by talking about vows and oaths. Now, it specifically targets women, and it talks about that if a woman takes an oath, and if she's under the age or still living in her household, if the father hears it, or if she is married and the husband hears her do the oath, that those men, the father and the husband respectively, have 24 hours, they have a day to cancel the oath. Now, why is it, or how is it, that the man in their life gets to cancel out the oath? Usually a man takes an oath, and if he regrets it or if he sees that it's undoable, he has to go before a Beit Din, 3 elders, and in order to have it released. Or, of course, now we've got Yom Kippur, Kol Nidre. But what's the point of making a special consideration for the woman? Now, there's the presumption among some people that there's a certain sexism in these laws, and why are women treated differently? And the reason is very simple, and it's actually very practical. First of all, let's remember that women are absolved from the commandments that are time-based and positive, like prayer. And why is that? Because women have a much more important responsibility that takes up their time. Women are the mothers that raise the children, which is very important because in the process of doing so, they're imparting social and moral values to them that are going to help them, the kids, the children, the offspring, be part of a proper society, of a positive moral society. Women also wean the children as they become babies and infants and become babies. Women also are responsible for maintaining the household, making sure that Shabbat candles are lit, Shalom Aleichem. So because of that, and by the way, women are on a higher spiritual plane. I can't emphasize this enough, because it's the women that give the life. They take care of the child, the offspring, while they're developing in their womb, and they give birth. That makes them a lot more like God, really, than men are. So women really don't have as much free time to devote to studying Torah or going on the pilgrimage festivals that the men do. So a woman may not fully comprehend the implications of a vow or an oath that they take. They may, of course, their heart is in the right place and they want to do the right thing, but maybe what they said isn't appropriate, or maybe they've taken too much on, or what have you. But that's the whole point. And the men are the ones that, upon hearing it, they can, and it's a responsibility for the men too, to really decide, is the woman doing something that is really appropriate? So that talks about that. It then talks about the battles that the Israelites are going to wage, because remember, it's now the 40 years are up. The Israelites are preparing to go into the land. Of course, they're expecting battles, and Moses is preparing for that. And in that process, the tribes of Reuben and Gad, G-A-D, not God, see the land on the TransJordan. That's on the other side of the Jordan River, as opposed to where Israel is, which is called the Cisjordan. And they say, wow, this is great land, and we're shepherders, or cattle herders. We want this land. We want to settle here. So Moses goes to them and says, well, that poses an issue, because we're about to go into battle, and we're going to need some of your troops. They call them shock troops in the Eitz Chaim. Chalutzim is the Hebrew word. And you may remember from being a child in Hebrew school, chalutz, zum galiga, right? And chalutz means pioneer. And they assure Moses that we will send troops. We're not going to abandon you. We will settle our families, and we will join you in battle. And Moses also puts half of the tribe of Mannaseh out there too, because they're also cattle herders. And some rabbis feel he did that, keep an eye on him, because we know what happened with the tribe of Reuben. A lot of those people joined in with Korach for that rebellion, because Reuben, the firstborn, they felt that their inheritance had been taken from them, and they were sort of disgruntled. So Moses asked some of the tribe of Mannaseh to settle there with him. So after that, Moses says, okay, once we settle, that's fine. We'll do that. They also talk about the travels of the Israelites. They talk about, they went here, they settled there, they went here, they settled there. Remember that this was basically a 30-year journey. Now, it's been 40 years since the Israelites first left Egypt. They were in the wilderness for a year. They got the Torah, they got some of the commandments. But it was then afterwards that they sent the spies out. And while they were going to go ahead and take the land, because of the spies, they told an account of what was going on in the land of milk and honey, and a lot of people got scared. They spun the truth, and God just decided, look, I've given you every chance to prove your worth. It's obvious, it's evident at this point. You grumbled about water, you grumbled about the manna, you wanted meat I gave to you. You didn't want to be left alone. I had the fire at night, the cloud at day. I protected you, and you still don't get it. Okay, you're not going to get it. You're going to stay out here. We need another generation that has not been slaves, that doesn't have that slave mentality, that has a more of a hardy spirit to be able to take the land. The only two exceptions were Caleb ben Yefuneh and Yehoshua ben Nun, who was going to replace Moses as the leader. And of course, Eleazar, who is now the high priest, has replaced Aaron. So it talks about the various the various journeys, and where they stayed. So if you look at the places that they stayed, the amount of places that they stayed, and you divide that by the years, you come to find that they basically spent 2 years in each different place. Why? Well, probably because they used up the resources. They traveled till they found an oasis, and it had supplies and resources, and they'd stay there for a couple of years, and then they'd move on to another oasis, and this is what they did. Now, some people say, why did the Torah go to all this trouble to identify? And some of them we don't know. These are archaic terms. It's been over 3,000 years, and some of the places we still haven't identified. But why does the Torah go to such extent to identify, to discuss that? Because the Torah compares it to, say, a noble whose son is sick and he wants to take him to a doctor in another location. Maybe it's a 3-day journey. So when he comes back and now the kid's all healed and maybe his wife or his people say, well, how was it? Well, he says, he gives them an account. He gives them a little travelogue. Well, at this time, at the first night, we stayed at this place, then we went to that place, and it took us, and he's remembering kind of fondly, in a way fondly, because now his son has been healed, the journey that was very memorable because his son ended up healed. And he talks about that with pride. And that's kind of how the book of Numbers ends up. And as we do with each book, as we close it, we say, Hazak, Hazat, Benit Hazek, strength, strength, let us be strong. And we say that. So remember, folks, I'm not going anywhere, still here, just a different venue. You can reach me on my website, www.modernrabbistephen.com. And as long as I promoted one book, remember, I've still got that Art of Self-Esteem. You can order that on my website. Again, a little shameless plug. So be well, and I look forward to a continuing long-term relationship, and we're excited about our new venue. Please join us at Temple Shalom of Ontario.